Last week I posted this video both on my TikTok and Instagram, and boy did it go viral. In addition to it going viral, it also brought about a big discussion on whether or not those chokes can actually be applied in a real situation. You had a mixture of people that I have no doubt have very little martial arts experience, and I just completely ignored their opinions. But then you also had the people that were giving like constructive feedback and like, yeah, I can see that working if X, Y, and Z lines up, or if you're able to maintain control. Where again, the other half of the internet is just simply shouting, headbutt them in the face, elbow them in the face, throw some punches, just get up and get out, rip the shirt off. Okay, it's easier said than done though. And so in order to really prove who's right, and not even necessarily because I don't really care all that much, but we pressure tested it, and we really put it to the test to see, hey, can you actually apply these chokes in a real situation, or is it simply just stuff that you practice just to simply practice? For the pressure testing, I grabbed a bunch of people that I've worked with. I personally have more grappling experience than all of them combined, but they're all bigger than me, and we figured, okay, that's a good offset. They're bigger guys, I'm a better grappler, let's see what happens. Before you say it, yes, if you have an opportunity to run in any self-defense situation, obviously that would be your best option. However, when it comes to practicing and when it comes to training, it is the laziest excuse that you can have. So don't just sit there on the internet and say, oh, just run away. It's the easiest thing to do, because it's not. And because you don't know the circumstances, and because sometimes you can't run, so you have to deal with the situation, so you practice it that way. So yes, am I going to come across a situation where I have to use a shirt to choke somebody out if I'm in mount? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But it's better to practice it and rep it out and just acknowledge that I can understand how to do different things in different situations. And so that's what we were testing out. So here's the footage, enjoy, and let us know what you think. Go! Hard for him to punch if I can get that arm. How much power can you really develop? Like ribs, I think you can do a lot. But like, what about the head? I guess you could do decent. That's pretty good. Now, as always, if you are enjoying this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, as it does help with the algorithm, which means more people get to see this video, which helps out the channel grow overall. So give it a thumbs up, and let's get back to the video. I don't know why I would do that in the street, but it worked. It worked. If you can lock in the chokes, like, they work for sure. But even with you, at the end, I was using them more to like hold you down. Like when you tried coming up, I would just pull the shirt across to get you to turn. Yeah. So like even if you don't use the shirts for chokes per se, utilizing the shirts like you would a gi to get positioning, so like grab and pull stuff, like all that goes a long way. And then from there, like once I could get like simply just pulling that shirt across the neck, like I still get good positions. I think it 100% depends on your ability to control. Like our difference in grappling, and it's still hard to hold you down. So you have somebody that has no grappling experience trying to hold you down. You're just going to power through them every time. Absolutely. So, shit, even with you, you got even less than he does. And it's still hard to hold you down. So I'm saying, like, if I don't have any of that experience, I'm screwed. If I try using shirts like that. So if you don't have grappling experience, just get up. Get up and get away.
Being able to punch, but thinking, okay, should I punch or should I be posturing up?
Oh, it's easy to throw punches. It's easy to throw elbows. Blah, blah, blah. Which, yeah, you can easily drop elbows. I can easily headbutt. But the problem is, once you can get that control point, once I start applying the choke and like I have it, then it's like, okay, that's your dilemma.
Right.
If I start punching you and hopes that maybe I land a good punch that just completely breaks my grips. Or do I go to sleep? Because once the choke is like threatened, you have a little bit of time before I get it in position.
Right.
Once it's in, you got seconds. And that's like the big dilemma that a lot of people who don't train don't understand about chokes. Is you don't have like, oh, I'm getting choked, but I have all the time to punch and kick and get away. It's like, once those chokes are in, like your time is just ticking. It still chokes you, but it's hard. Like it's hard as shit. If you're not actively punching me, then I'm working. If I'm not working, you're punching me. So you almost have to like maintain control. You can't just sit there and whip punches because I'm gonna bump you, and the second I bump you, I'm locking those arms down. So you have to like almost essentially hold me down. But that's the point, is I have to keep you balanced, where you're focused on your balance as I lock in everything else. So can the chokes work? Yes. Is it circumstantial? Yes. Does it work against everybody? No. Is it going to work all the time? No. But that doesn't mean that you count them out. The chokes do work. Once I was actually able to lock a choke in, it got very tight very quickly. The problem is that, again, depending on the size of the person and the size of the shirt and the angle that we're at, I'm not always able to get enough slack in the shirt to be able to apply the choke. So that's why you would see me change positions or try, sometimes a little bit more of a fancier choke that I may not necessarily always try. But again, we're just trying to see what works with a shirt in regards to choking them. There was plenty of opportunities for the guys to punch me. I will say, and they even admitted it, not all of the positions allow you to throw a strong punch even if they were to try. Just because of the way that they're angled, you can't get the best power behind the punch. So yes, it could still do some damage, but not as much as what the internet was telling us. Once I actually start applying some of the chokes and I get some of the grips down, it's very difficult for that person to start trying to throw strikes because now they have to focus on the choke. And if they focus on the strike, sure, maybe they can land one, maybe two, but by that point, they're going to sleep. So you kind of have to be like, okay, do I risk trying to take a good shot and hope that I can knock this guy out or land a good enough hit that he lets go? Or is that too much of a Hail Mary and I'm going to go to sleep before I can really figure it out? This type of situation is one that 100% depends on the person that would be in my shoes, on their ability to grapple. Read situations better, I can position myself better. If I get to a good angle or just a more dominant position, then I can start working these chokes no problem. If I lose that position or I let the other guy get too much control, then I'm not going to hit him. You have to acknowledge when to bail on the choke and either get out of the situation altogether, or try and throw in a different variation of the choke, or go for something completely different. As you saw in some of the clips, I just switch it to like an armbar or shoulder locks or a triangle lock just to kind of see like, okay, could I throw it into one of these? Even though I know that's not what we were exactly pressure testing. So in my opinion, clothing is not used effectively enough in self-defense situations. Again, it doesn't even have to be regarding chokes. It can just simply be controlling a person, being able to use a shirt to like lock down or isolate an arm, the ability to maneuver somebody, whether that means they're starting to come up and you grab their collar and stuff it in another direction. Similarly, like if they had a gi on, it just prevents them from moving, or it allows me to move myself easier, or allows me to manipulate their body easier. Utilizing the clothing as a whole goes a long way. Just remember this. Pressure testing is a difference between reality and theory when it comes to self-defense. If you're learning self-defense and you never test it against an unwilling opponent, meaning they're going to be giving you resistance, then you need to rethink your training. If you're an instructor and you don't test the techniques themselves before you teach them, then you're simply just being irresponsible. And if you don't allow your students to pressure test techniques or even pressure test your techniques, you're also being irresponsible. So it goes both ways. If you're learning, you have to pressure test. If you're teaching, you have to pressure test. And as a whole, pressure testing allows us, again, to really figure out what does and doesn't work. And if it does work, are there specific circumstances in which it does? If you did enjoy this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, so it does help with the algorithm and it does allow the channel to grow overall. I would love to hear other techniques and things that you would like us to pressure test and see pressure tested, so drop those down in the comments below. As for the rest, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and we'll see you next time.